Welcome to the family room. Are you happy to be back? I just assume I am opening us up today.
I can do it.
No, my name is Dr. Alicia Ramsey.
Bishop John F. Ramsey Sr.
And we are back for episode 4 of the family room. Can you believe that?
It's hard to believe, but it's going quickly though.
It is, but before we get started, have you subscribed? Are you a part of this page? Have you sent us an email, jrmfamilyroom@gmail.com? Did you
Subscribe.
send we should send an email to ourselves.
Exactly. We just send one to ourselves.
So we can start getting plenty of emails.
Right. But the purpose of the email is so that you can ask questions. It's not necessarily to air anything, but to ask questions that we can come back and be able to answer. And we'll be very discreet about it, but we want to be wise. We want to give you information and content that we know is ultimately going to benefit your life.
Definitely. So make sure you tell people about the family room and become a part of our family. Now, our topic today, we're not going to spoil this movie for you, all right? So if you haven't seen it yet, it's okay. You still have time to see it. But for those of you that have seen it, you definitely need to make sure you email us, get in the chat, put in your personal thoughts, your opinions. We recently watched a movie together.
Yes.
During our marriage bonding
moments.
Time. See, we just don't watch sports together. We'll binge watch different things. But I said, hey, babe, let's watch this movie together. So he was like, well, what movie is that? And I was like, the movie Straw by Tyler Perry on Netflix. And he was like, what's it about? I was like, I have no idea. But I knew the actresses that were in it. I knew I loved Taraji Henson. I knew I loved Tiana Taylor, Sherry Shepherd. I was like, well, I love the people that are in the movie. And usually you would say what?
I'm good. I'm good.
Usually that would be the movie I would watch by myself or with our daughter, to be honest. Yeah. So when he said, I was like, okay, well, let's do it. Let's go for it. So I literally thought we were going to get tired.
But you know what I was thinking though? When you asked me, you said, when I made that pause, this is why I paused. You said, hey babe, you want to watch this movie with me? And I said, what's it called? You told me what the name of it was. And I said, ain't no games on right now. Anyways.
I knew it was a catch.
Let's go.
I knew it was a catch. So, but first of all, I wouldn't have asked you if I knew there was a game on. And so I'm not going to ask that during football season or NBA season. We'll talk about that in marriage. Sometimes y'all think y'all going to be out like this watching TV together all the time. That's not reality. Stop watching Lifetime. But, okay, Straw. We sat down, and I'm telling you, usually we get tired. Like, we'll watch half of a movie, and then we go to sleep. I don't even know if we breathed during this movie.
Yeah, I don't know either. It was just, from the very beginning, it pulls you in and you are locked the rest of the movie. And not many movies do that for me.
The writing was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that too is because he and I like to watch things where we can't predict what's next. So like we binge watch, just let him in our business kind of. What was it? Tulsa Man.
Yeah. Tulsa King.
Yellowstone. We binge watched all 400 episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
All of it.
All American. He got tired of them whining and stuff and cutting up his kids. So
they were tripping.
They got a new whole episode.
I had to bounce on that one.
They got a whole new season. I'm watching by myself. But we love things where you don't know what's next, and you got to kind of. And we just did the Better Sister.
Yeah. We
did Paradise, and all those are ones we're like, oh, what? So we like that kind of drama. This.
You can't predict anything.
But one of the things we want to pull from it was a personal connection that you and I had to this film. And we share often about having a child with an illness. And the illness that we deal with is touched on in this movie.
Yeah.
With actually not just one of our children. Now it's the second child, but I'm telling you the emotion in the movie. I literally, I cried in movies. I used to cry a lot in movies. I don't cry as much as I used to, but I was in shock. So I couldn't even cry.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I would just, when the movie went off, I was just still sitting here like this for probably 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It just took you to a different place. And if you can relate to it in any type of way, it really pulled you in.
And that's what
And that's what hit for us.
Yes, and I've been seeing that with people having conversations about it on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. They're giving their personal opinions about it, whether it is, their parenting experience, their financial journey, or, their relationship journey, dealing with, illness, physical, mental, like there's some type of connection that different people have. So for us, the parenting connection. So with our son, Jeremiah, we literally found out at 25 weeks when I was carrying him that something was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you are carrying a child and you find out that there's something not right with your child, and then we immediately got sent to a high-risk doctor, and we're in this appointment together with the high-risk physician, and we find out this is wrong. This is wrong.
This is wrong.
And I remember that we left that doctor's appointment and we went to, I don't know if it was a Pizza Hut Wednesdays or something. It was right there on 86th Street. And we literally just sat across from each other. And I wish I could have seen our faces because it was almost like, because our first child, perfectly healthy, no problems, even though I had an emergency C-section, just vibrant, busy, no issues whatsoever. Now we're carrying our second child and it's the total opposite.
Yeah.
So what were your first feelings like when we first heard something was wrong?
I was numb. I would say if I had to give you one feeling or emotion or description, it would just simply be numb.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to process it and you're trying to understand, how could this happen? What does this mean?
Yes.
That's the big one right there. What does this mean? How will this impact him?
Right.
Those types of things. So I was just numb initially.
And it definitely affects the father different than it affects the mother, whether you are together or not. So if you sign up to co-parent, if you're married, if you're in a relationship, it affects each person differently because we hear a lot of stories about individuals because of the disabilities that our child was born with. He is a special needs young man right now. The divorce rate of special needs parents is higher.
It's 80%.
Because of
the stress. The constant attention that's needed.
Yes.
24/7.
Yes. So in this movie, you will feel the stress through the screen.
No question about it.
You will feel it. And sometimes people will assume because you're financially stable or you have, careers that are successful that you don't feel the strain of having a child that is suffering from an illness.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Not true at all. I mean, there are times he's 23.
Yeah.
And there are times
that 24. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it.
Next month.
But it's a blessing though.
Yes, it is.
Because they didn't think he would make it. But there are times I still feel it. There are days that you feel a little bit overwhelmed. And I don't know if that will ever go away, but I know one thing. I just know that God's given us the grace to manage it.
Yeah.
And when there's time to let out the emotions, I let out the emotions. Sometimes I can be in my car, pull over to a parking lot.
Yeah.
And it just goes because that's your kid. That's the life that God entrusted you with.
And as a dad, tell me where your emotion comes from as being his father.
My emotions come from the fact that, all the years that I've been in ministry, I look at it from this standpoint. My job is to fix things. People having trouble in marriage, I got to try to help fix it, or staff issues, I got to try to fix it, or business situations, got to try to fix it. Those types of things. But to be in a situation where you can't fix it.
Yes.
You feel like your hands are tied as a father, and you feel like, obviously I prayed and obviously we trusted God with it, but there was nothing that you could do that was going to alter or change the situation.
Right.
That was hard to deal with as a man because you want your family, your family to have the best. You want your kids to certainly have the best, and you want everything to be okay with them.
Yeah, you want everything to be okay, and your emotions are real and they're valid. And I know there were so many times when, people were like, well, she doesn't get as emotional as he does. my tear ducts were dry.
Yeah.
You know, they forget I was the one on my back for 3 months, and every emotion was just dry. And now here we are, and we have to, like you said, it's gotten better, but it's not easy.
Never be easy.
Right. It's gotten better, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
We understand him more. We understand the diagnosis more. We can handle the symptoms better. We are less financially strained because we have support now.
Now,
But that didn't tap
years.
into he turned 15.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hard to get your mind around.
Yeah. So, you know, the whole medication, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you saw this movie. We just started getting help with the medication once that didn't happen until, So he's 23. That didn't happen till after his 18th birthday.
Right. So we paid $30,000 a year
at least. But that
for
was
his
just
medication. And then that's on top of taking care of him and the other kids and just all of our
But you know
normal responsibilities.
But that 30,000, to be honest with you, that was just that therapy, the ABA therapy.
Yeah.
So we did ABA therapy, we did hippotherapy, we did aquatherapy. Like we did all these different therapies, because once he got school age, they minimize it. So it's not personal one-on-one, it becomes minutes. So for those of you who are in education, you understand about a IEP, individual education plan. What they do is they give you group services. So in the child's IEP, it won't say that little Bobby gets, 45 minutes for 3 days a week with the OT. That's not what it says. It'll say Bobby will receive 45 minutes a month. And that may come in a group setting. So they may get 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So it's totally different. So we always try to provide, if we could, those individual services. But that cost.
Very much so.
Physically, emotionally. And in this movie, our 15-year-old watched it. And what did she say when she came?
She watched it with her friend. And they were in the basement last night. They came up to our room and we were watching the game.
We were watching the game.
We were watching the game and they came in and boy, they talked for 30 minutes.
She said,
she's talking about she was crying all the way through.
You didn't tell me. Mom, you didn't tell me. She said, I was crying. As soon as we started, she said, Mom, I just cried. And she said, oh my God, Mom. But I was glad that she connected and felt the emotions of it.
Yeah.
And knew how to deal with her emotions of it. Because there was a time when Judah was little, she was fearful of something happening to Jeremiah.
Yeah, very.
Very fearful. And her anxiety came from that. And we didn't know this until a professional or a doctor told us that she's very anxious and fearful that something will happen to her brother. And we had to find, resources and support on how to help her deal with something we had been carrying, because when Judah came along, he was probably 9. He's probably about 9, but functioned like on the level of a 3 or 4-year-old, even though he was 9. Yeah. So she got, remember, she was 2 years old and 3 years old. And she would be like, I'm your big sister, right? Say yeah. He'll go, yeah. She's like, I'm his big sister, right? And in her mind, she was his big sister. So she took on that same, almost like mantle of, I have to protect him. I have to help him. That what you were just talking about.
Yeah. It was amazing to see her bond with him like that, though.
Yeah.
Because then you see that the whole family was locked in.
Right.
From our oldest son.
Oh yeah.
He was definitely locked in, and Judah got that way as well.
Yeah.
So it was something to see, and I think you said something earlier that's really, really key, and I don't know if everybody really got a hold of that, and that is that your concern never leaves.
Never.
It never leaves. And sometimes you get overwhelmed. And it doesn't have to be financially. It doesn't have to be in certain areas. But sometimes just, okay, what happens if I'm not here? And
Yeah, because your mind begins
do
to
you have
shift
this
to
in
that.
place? Do you have this? Do we have this? Do we have this? And then who's going to care for him? Who's he going to live with?
They touch some things like
Those
that.
types of things
Yeah.
there. That was
When they touch that, they just touch some things.
yeah.
If you have not felt the weight of what happens if I'm no longer here,
Mm-hmm.
if your children are healthy, completely healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and they're young, you will have those moments where, especially as a father or a husband or provider, what's going to happen to my family if I'm not here?
Mm-hmm.
And he and I have had to sit down with the special needs attorney and map out our whole life with us here
Literally.
and with us not here.
Mm-hmm. And with one of us here.
With one of us here. So if we've had to sit down, so in our will and with our trust, we have it to where if one of us dies,
Mm-hmm.
or if we both die at the same time,
Yeah.
what will happen with Jeremiah,
Judah,
and John Jr. And having a child with exceptional needs, with special needs, with developmental disabilities or intellectual disabilities, no matter what, physical limitations, that feeling of can somebody else care for them the way I care for them, that was something from the movie. It was just like, whoa.
Right.
The weight and the anxiety of, if I don't do it, who's gonna do it?
Yeah. And that pressure is real. And you could see it in this movie. I mean, every scene that came on, you could feel the emotion with the scene.
Feel it.
Tyler Perry wrote and produced this. And I just think it was, everything he puts out is amazing. But this was a tearjerker. This was one of those that you'll never forget. You'll never forget the movie.
Right. And the casting was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
He put Sherry Shepherd in the right role.
She killed it.
Oh my goodness.
She killed it.
Tiana Taylor was in the right role.
Murdered.
I mean, and Taraji,
Mm-hmm.
how do you act that? Even our daughter went and said, Mom, she did this in one take and she did that in one take.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt the pain that many of us feel on a daily basis, like the pain you and I. And that's the thing. Sometimes they think because you're a bishop and I'm your wife and, I'm a first lady of a church, that it don't hurt.
Exactly. That's why people have to be careful about wanting to switch lives with other people, or hey, I want to have what they have, because you don't know the price that comes with it.
Right.
You don't know the pain that comes with it.
Right.
You don't know the challenges that come with it.
And I always tell people, don't say, oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that, because some people, until they acknowledge the pain and get the help that is needed,
right,
they're not going to be okay.
They're not going to be okay.
They're not going to be okay. So that's the thing. You just don't tell people you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But we listen to each other. There was a time where, and I remember like it was yesterday, he was 5 and I was a principal at that time, at the 6th grade academy. I wasn't even at the elementary school yet. And we thought he had a partial corpus callosum.
Mm-hmm.
So our son is missing his corpus callosum. That's what connects the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere. It's like the highway. Mm-hmm. So if you see a picture of a pig and you hear a pig, the highway connects pig, P-I-G, sounds like this. He doesn't have that.
Right.
And our son is nonverbal. So we were always told it was slightly there.
Mm-hmm.
On that day, I went to the doctor's appointment and I was driving back to work and I got the call that it was gone completely. He didn't have one. Mm-hmm. And I remember calling in and telling my secretary that I was on the way. And my voice must have started cracking. Mm-hmm. And it was Denise. And Denise said, Ms. Bush said, no, you're not. Go home. And I didn't even tell her anything, but she could tell in my voice something changed.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you keep getting bad news? Like even 5 years in, like we just kept, it was like another blow to me. Like when the air gets sucked and knocked out of you.
Yeah. And when you go through certain painful things in life, it changes your perspective about how you see faith and how you see
Yes.
the word and how you, but it does it in a positive way.
Right.
But example, like when my father passed, when something like that happens and a person dies that way,
Right. And we'll do an episode on
yeah,
that
we'll
too
do
to
that.
dig
But
in more.
to
Yeah.
me, that's a wound that doesn't close.
Yeah. And it's
It never you get a scar, but it
yes.
never completely closes.
Right. And you can always see it. It's a type of scar that you can always see. But we wanted to share our personal feelings and our personal thoughts on this particular movie because it really resounded with our life.
It really did.
Our life today.
And the thing about it is when we sat down to watch it, we had no clue.
We had no
It would hit us like this. And sometimes we'll talk during certain things,
Yes.
TV or sports or whatever the case might be. We were both just glued like that.
We definitely
The
were.
whole movie.
We definitely were. So you're going to have pain. We are strong in our faith. We believe that God is going to heal him on this side of eternity or the other side of eternity. But dealing with the emotions on the way. And if we could leave you with anything, one thing I will leave you with is it's okay to not be okay, but don't stay that way.
Yeah.
Look for resources, look for support. We found support groups. We've gotten counselors involved. After that day, when I found out it was more wrong with him, I actually went and started therapy for me.
Yeah.
Because I felt myself becoming more numb. And that wasn't the best way to be. We've had relationships with different pastors and bishops who we trusted to pray over us, to pray over our child. So we went the spiritual route. We've gone the therapy counseling route. We've talked to physicians and we went and we got the support and the help we needed.
We really did. And I think that's helped us tremendously because God only knows where we would be if we didn't do that.
That's right.
And we've learned some things. We've learned a lot of things, and we learned some things about faith. When I think about the scripture where Paul had the thorn in the flesh,
Yes.
and he asked God to take it away 3 times, and God said no.
Yes.
And he said, no, I won't take it away, but my grace is sufficient. And one of the things I got from that is that whatever God doesn't change, he gives you the grace to manage.
That's good. Amen. Well, we'll end it on that note, Bishop John F. Ramsey Sr., because this has been a powerful episode of The Family Room. Make sure you email us at jrmfamilyroom@gmail.com to share your thoughts on the topic we had today. And what else do they need to do?
And make sure you subscribe. If you do not subscribe, you are out of the will of God. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm joking with you. But make sure you subscribe. Go to JRM on YouTube. Go to JRM Family Room.
Yes.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notifications button so that every time an episode comes out, boom, you get the notification and you're right there in the house.
Wonderful. We'll see you next time.